What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another highly combustible reaction. We are going to get some learning on today. The story of Irena Sendler, righteous among the nations. Definitely get over and show Yad Vashem all the love of the world. Yad Vashem. We already subbed up. We already smashed the like button. Let's go on a journey, see what we got. I'm all about learning things, and they told me you're going to learn today.
Irena Sendler was born to a Catholic family in the city of Otwock, Poland in 1910. When World War II broke out on September 1, 1939, Irena Sendler was a 29-year-old social worker at the welfare department of the Warsaw municipality. She carried on performing her duties even after the city's occupation by the Germans and took care of hundreds of people in the city who had become poor and homeless as a result of the war. Irena used her position to help the Jews. However, this became impossible once the Warsaw Ghetto was sealed off in November 1940. Roughly 400,000 Jews were packed into a small area occupied by the ghetto. The crowded living conditions, along with the lack of basic sanitation, food, and medicine, led to a very high death rate among the ghetto population. Despite the great risks involved, Irena obtained a permit from her department to visit the ghetto and inspect the sanitation conditions inside. Once she had infiltrated the ghetto, she made contact with Jewish relief organizations and began helping them smuggle Jews out of the ghetto and find places for them to hide in the Aryan part of the city. In the fall of 1942, the Żegota, the Council to Aid Jews, was established following the deportation of 280,000 Jews from the ghetto to the Treblinka extermination camp. This organization, staffed by both Jewish and non-Jewish operatives, worked to rescue Jews. Irena became a prominent activist in the council, helping Jews who had survived the deportations from the ghetto to find hiding places.
Listen, there are some people out there are people that just don't like to hear about it. There are people that like to not even think about it. But there was a time, not all history is good history. There was a time where we were absolutely horrendous to one another. We were led to be horrendous to one another. Just like legit animals. I'll never understand how it got that bad. I look around and still see that in a lot of places it's still pretty damn bad. But this is like, it's so freaking important to learn about these people. People that in the light, in the darkness, were a light. Were a hero to so many. We've seen a couple now that have just saved countless lives because of their brave and heroic kind of actions. Actions that very well could have led them to getting killed themselves. And they knew it. But for the good of humanity, they kept going. It's so important to pass all of the history on, to let someone never forget so that this never ends up happening again. The world already is crazy enough right now. There's a lot of things that could still stand to be fixed right now with the very current world that we're living in. We don't ever need to go down this route. Ever. Like, it should have never happened, and it should damn sure never happen in the future. But you know what's gonna make it happen? Not sharing the stories.
And providing them with food and medical supplies. The rescue operations undertaken by Irena and her fellow council members were daring and complex. Babies and small children were sedated and smuggled out in bags, baskets, suitcases, and even vegetable crates in the ghetto hospital's supply truck. Older children were extricated in various disguises or through the sewer system, which also served smugglers and the Jewish resistance. The ghetto ambulances carried both children and adults out of the ghetto on stretchers, under the pretense that they had contracted typhoid, tuberculosis, and other infectious diseases that the Germans were averse to. In September 1943, Approximately 4 months after the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising and the ghetto's subsequent demolition, Irena was appointed as head of the Department for the Care of Jewish Children at the Żegota. Under the pseudonym Jolanta, Irena used her connections with orphanages and other institutions caring for abandoned children to send them Jewish children equipped with forged documents, all at great risk to herself.
Extremely
Many
great
of
risk.
the children were
There's no, like, it's so understated how selfless it is to do something like this. Not even caring about the fact that, hey, you could get caught, you could die. And you know what? That's like legit hero stuff. How many people are alive now because she saved one of your family members? Especially in a world where everyone's doing their genealogy like that. This lady means something to a lot of people, even still to this day.
were sent to the Regina Mari orphanage in Warsaw and to religious institutions in the Warsaw and Lublin regions. For Jewish children to fit into a Polish environment, they had to be prepped, which meant leaving behind their Jewish birth names, identities, and families, adopting Christian names, and becoming fluent in Polish. Most importantly, the children had to learn Christian prayers and rituals, and assume new Christian identities. Sometimes, the institutions themselves set certain conditions, and in many instances, the children were baptized and made Catholic. Irena made sure to keep precise records of the children sent to these institutions, so that they could be located after the war and returned to their families. By doing so, Irena saved the lives of many hundreds of children. Their exact number is unknown. It is important to remember that the danger was not limited to the Germans. There were also local informants who, motivated by financial reward or by their own anti-Semitism, would disclose the locations of rescued Jews and their Polish rescuers alike. Therefore, the survivors often had to be moved from place to place, from house to house, from apartment to convent, or from town to village and back again. Every such transfer involved more people, and so increased the risk of exposure, informing upon, or betrayal, as well as the danger that one of those involved would get caught and give away the others. On October 20th, 1943, after a month of widespread activity, Irena was arrested. Prior to her arrest, she had managed to hide incriminating evidence, such as the coded addresses of some of the children's whereabouts, as well as evidence of large sums of money paid to some of the hosts. She was sentenced to death, but was eventually released in February 1944 after members of the resistance managed to bribe clerks. The arrest did not deter her, and immediately after her release, she resumed her clandestine activity, even though she knew the authorities were aware of her activity. She continued her operations on behalf of the Jews. At one point, the need for secrecy even prevented her from attending her mother's funeral. Over the years,
getting caught and sentencing someone, being sentenced to death, would deter so many people from ever doing what it was that they did ever again, especially if you somehow got released. Most people would just disappear into the wilderness somewhere. She was not having it. She really was ready to die at any cost. I think of they said she saved hundreds of children. How many hundreds of children did those hundreds of children go on to have? Someone alive today is probably connected to some of the people that were saved. It's mind-boggling. It's a crazy tree, this tree of life.
she received numerous recognitions for her heroic conduct during the Holocaust. After the war, Irena worked for the Ministry of Health in Poland. On October 19, 1965, Yad Vashem recognized Irena as a righteous among the nations, and a tree was planted in her honor at the entrance to the Avenue of the Righteous Among the Nations at Yad Vashem.
That's next level individuals. People are awesome when they use their awesomeness for good. She didn't care what happened to her. She was gonna try to save as many as she could. You never know what people are capable of. There were some genius tactics involved. I don't know. Everybody along the route, all the people that held their tongues, all the people that kept it quiet and hush, they all deserve some sort of award. A whole bunch of people wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for her saying, you know what, I'm not going to stop. Even at the threat, even at being sentenced to death, like, get given a second chance and go right back to it. That's heroism on a whole new level. Get over, show Yad Vashem all the love in the world. The link's inside of the description. Share it around. Somebody might not have heard of her, and they definitely should, because it's very, very important. Smash the like button if you liked it. The dislike button, but it won't believe you. Tell the next one of my Combustible. You guys be happy, healthy, safe, whatever you to the moon and back. Peace.